Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 257 of the podcast, or you're joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, or possibly Twitter. First time trying out Twitter live. We have done the Periscope, which was attached to Twitter for a little while, but that got disconnected. And I don't know. I didn't read all the messaging. All I know is we're probably live on Twitter right now. Awesome UFC pay-per-view last night. UFC 266, headlined by Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz, unbeknownst to Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. John Jones arrested. Fights made. Hall of Fame inductions. Whole bunch of stuff to get to, but before any of that, let me introduce all the way from New Jersey, the kickinest soccer coach on the East Coast, Jeff the Animal Wilson. Jeff, what's going on this Sunday afternoon, my friend?
Bill, I don't know about kickingist. I mean, our record is 0-1-4, I think, with the girls soccer team that I coach. I coach the JV team. The varsity team, they have a win, but they have, I think, 8 losses. So, Bill,
one win and 8 losses?
Yeah, or something like that. Might be 7 losses. But, at the end of the day, I don't care about the score, Bill. I'm happy that my team, they all get along with each other. And, some of them, they may never talk to each other again after this season. But, at least they've had this time together to, laugh and enjoy each other's company. That's what it's all about for me. And the fundraising, Bill. The fundraising.
For sure. Speaking of which, we might as well give a little plug to support Jeff's soccer team here, the Ramblers. I'll put a link in the show notes along with, the link to our merchandise at Team Reaper, like always. For those of you watching the video version, I'm scrolling through all of the merch available. Proceeds go to the Ramblers JV soccer team, so they can what do they do with the money, Jeff?
So Bill, that money is going towards backpacks, new uniforms, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, so it's a good cause. It'll help the team out. And see if we can get Coach Wilson as the top seller here, Bill. Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Bill. I'm in it for some selfish reasons because depending on how many items are sold under each player or each coach's name, they have incentives. So, like if I sell a certain amount here, I can win a backpack for myself. But it's this is done through Fan Cloth. I think the top prize is like an Apple Watch or something, which I don't need. So I don't care for that. But Bill, I'm all for the backpack. I'm in it for the backpack.
Wow. Choosing the backpack over the Apple Watch, huh?
Yeah, I can't carry any of my soccer gear in an Apple Watch, Bill.
Yeah. Well, it's getting to be hoodie season, folks. So you can grab yourself one of these crop top hoodies from Fan Cloth and support a good cause. Kids in athletics is an awesome thing in a day and age where kids are attached to devices, iPads and television, computers and all that stuff. It's good to know that there are still kids, getting exercise and keeping healthy, staying in shape, playing sports. It says on the website here, Jeff, that the campaign ends in 12 days and 11 hours, 50 minutes and 26 seconds. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the campaign only runs for 2 weeks, and we started on Friday.
All right.
So, unfortunately, it's going to be a while before you actually get your stuff because of COVID things and stuff being hard to deliver and things. It's going to
Of
take a
course.
few weeks, but I'm not gonna lie to you, Bill. I really like our selection. I actually went and bought a couple of things myself for this, so I'm really excited.
You could have just bought a backpack because you're buying the stuff to get yourself points to get the backpack. Why not just buy a backpack, put a Rowdies patch on it? Ramblers, sorry. Rowdies is the soccer team here in St. Pete.
I was thinking of doing that, Bill, but I ordered a backpack last year from a similar fan cloth sale, and it was really small. Because I wanted to get a new, I wanted to get a new bag for jujitsu, but my gi by itself is not going to fit in it.
Yeah, I always carry the gi separate. So I have my bag, and then I tie my belt around the gi and just carry it, like sling it over my shoulder. Yeah. So guys, go on the fan cloth. I'll put the link and support a good cause. Do you want to talk about the fights, Jeff, or you want to talk about John Jones?
Nah, Bill. No, we have to talk about the fights first. Like,
Okay.
dude, last night's card was ridiculous. And Bill, I told you this. I missed the main event. It was really late night, and I was exhausted after the Shevchenko fight. But Bill, you told me to go back and watch it. I went back and watched it, and dude, I'm so glad I did, man. What a fight! What a third round, man. Dude, I don't even know how to put this third round into words, Billy, because you start off with Volkanovski looking good on the feet, and at some point he takes Brian Ortega down, which I think is not the move against Brian Ortega. He's got some slick jujitsu, and Volkanovski found out firsthand. Ensel American 989 talking about Merab Dvalishvili. That was a great fight too. I can't wait to talk about that one. But Bill, the first thing that happens is Volkanovski jumps into Ortega's guard, starts laying out the ground and pound, and Ortega starts throwing up submissions. Oh no, wait, I'm lying. I'm sorry. Hold on. I missed out. I left out a really important part. At one point, Ortega hits Volkanovski with, I think it was a left hand, drops him, and just slaps on this guillotine. And I'm thinking it's game over for Volkanovski. Somehow he powers his way out of it. Then he finds himself in a rear naked choke, gets out of that. At some point, he's in a triangle while Ortega's on the bottom. Bill, and then he finishes the round on top with Ortega just laid out at the end of when the bell rings. Bill, my brain can't even process this to describe it to you. You have to go back and watch it if you didn't.
Yeah. What I loved about this fight is that it was super one-sided. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Volkanovski won every single round. I gave him a 10-8 in the third and the fourth, even though none of the judges did that. I'm not sure why, because Brian Ortega barely got off the stool for the fourth and fifth rounds. So, the third and fourth rounds ended the same, with Volkanovski on top, just beating the shit out of Ortega. And I say it was one-sided fight, but at the same time, there was never really a moment that Ortega wasn't threatening and wasn't dangerous. You got to give him credit for hanging in there, but I think this fight should have been stopped after the third round. And Herb Dean had even said to Volkanovski, try to get him out of there. Like, he was looking for a reason to stop it, and Brian Ortega may be too tough for his own good. I think if you're the corner there, you got to stop this fight after the third round when your guy can barely see. He looked like he was unconscious on the stool. And then after basically getting knocked out, he was saved by the bell in that third round. He goes back out there and takes even more punishment in the fourth. And in the fifth round, he had some moments, like he started to rally a little bit and, even landed some of the final blows of the fight. But was it really worth it? Like, just to land those couple of punches with all the extra damage he took? I think, somebody should have been a little responsible in the corner, gotten him out of there, lived to fight another day. Because obviously he would have walked out there, blind and battered, which is basically what he did. So impressed with Volkanovski, Jeff. The submission escapes, like, you're not going to get into those submissions any deeper than that without getting out. The escapes were not the most technical. Like the guillotine escape, he kind of flopped like a fish and like wriggled out of it, which is definitely not supposed to work. Especially, we know Ortega has a nasty guillotine. He submitted Cub Swanson with it. Yeah, I was amazed every time. I think there was a Darce choke in there as well that he was into pretty tight. What a tough dude, man. And if you asked me after the Max Holloway fight, I probably wouldn't have said he's the best featherweight in the world because I thought Max Holloway won that fight. I think based on this performance, I would say Alexander Volkanovski is the best featherweight on the planet, and I don't think there's even a debate. Unless it's for Max Holloway. But Holloway is going to fight Yair Rodriguez, so I don't think we're going to get to see the trilogy with Volkanovski. A lot of people have that 1-to-1, but everybody except the judges, which they're the reason that Volkanovski has the belt. I know I just went off on like 3 different tangents there, Jeff, but what do you have to say about all that?
Bill, first off, I agree with you 100%, man. Volkanovski, I felt like he absolutely dominated the fight. Although I would have given the first round to Ortega just because he landed a couple of stiff crosses that that made Volkanovski take a step back, and he had that bad cut Volkanovski under his eye at the end of that first round. So I thought Ortega was off to a good start, looked a lot better than that fight with Max Holloway. I'll tell you that much. But after that, man, Volkanovski turned it up. His hands were loose, and throwing leg kicks and stuff. Dude, for me, Volkanovski just looked a lot more comfortable in there than he has in some of his other title defenses. And I'm still of the belief that he lost one of those Max Holloway fights. But,
yeah.
He absolutely dominated Brian Ortega, man. And I agree with you. I gave that third round a 10-8 just because, one, it could have ended. 2, Ortega, he needed to be pulled onto his stool.
Yeah, that was the other thing. The corner man came over and pulled him up onto the stool. If I'm Herb Dean and I'm standing there watching that, like he can't even get on the stool himself, I would wave it off.
Yeah.
It's just so it was unnecessary. And how about the ground and pound from Volkanovski? Just like
vicious.
Oh man, standing over him, beating him up from inside the guard. Not afraid to go to the ground with him, even after getting caught in those submissions. But the guy trains with Craig Jones, so I'm sure he's been in plenty of uncomfortable situations.
Bill, before we go on, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know. It sounds like something crunching behind you.
Something crunching?
Or maybe it's a wire.
Do you still hear it?
No, not anymore.
Okay, maybe it's because I was moving around. Yeah. So Volkanovski, man, what a beast.
Yeah.
Ortega. Oh, now I'm hearing it too. What do we got here? I don't know. Is it coming from you?
I'm not sure. Hold on. Let me move some stuff around in my room. But keep talking. I'm here.
All right. Well, while you're looking for the source, before we continue down this card, let me tell you about this bottle in front of me here. This was brought to my house by my friend, training partner, coach, all of the above, the one and only Coach Bill Easlick, judo black belt, jiu-jitsu black belt, MMA coach, and a fellow whiskey appreciator. So Coach Bill is more of a scotch guy like yourself, Jeff. And he brought over this Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. So this is a 14-year-old scotch, and it's aged in American oak bourbon casks, and then it's finished in ruby port casks. So I guess the Quinta is the 14 part of this, and the Ruban is for the ruby port cast. So port, of course, a popular dessert wine uh, in Europe and some parts of the United States, I guess. Very sweet, Jeff. So they take this whiskey that's aged in the oak barrels for 14 years, and they finish it in the port cask. So the port wine sticks to the inside of the barrel, and then you dump some liquid in there, and it pulls some of those flavors and tannins and things out of the wood. Um, and I gotta say, man, it's really awesome. See the color on it there? It's like you could tell it's well aged because it's like nice dark and like a reddish color too from the port. And the nose is like super sweet, vanilla. It drinks like really smooth. I only poured myself a little bit here just to remember what it tasted like because I had quite a bit last night, Jeff. Had some buddies over and some good booze, some awesome fights. But yeah, cheers, Coach Bill.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Bill, man. I miss him. It's been a while.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, you're gonna have to pay him a visit when you come down um, in a few months, right?
yeah, man. As soon as this soccer season's wrapped up, we'll head out there. But our season ends like that first week of November. Depends on how deep we go into the county tournament. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. I don't know what the future holds, Bill.
For sure. Well, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I just remembered the finish on this is a little spicy, which is nice, and the spice kind of like trickles down your tongue. Nice long finish on that one. It's a really nice scotch. Um, my other buddy Earl brought over like 3 different bottles of bourbon to try. Um, so I had to sample those. I felt obligated. I didn't want to be a rude host. So you gotta, you know, people bring over some whiskey. You gotta try it. The one I enjoyed the most was called Rebel 10 Year. It's a single barrel bourbon. I would compare it to Blanton's stronger proof. It's 100 proof. Really good, really dark cherry, really tasty, sweet, but not overly sweet. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that one. And then my other friends brought over some beers that I didn't get to try yet because, you know, I like to stick to one spirit or beverage usually for the night. So got some cool local Oktoberfest beers to look forward to later. Um, any of that piquing your interest, Jeff?
Yeah, for sure, dude. You know I love a smooth whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely right up my alley. And Bill, I think that was a great choice for the fights last night, man. I mean, it was a longer night, so definitely probably you want to sip a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
uh for uh for a night like last night because Bill, um the last 3 fights, all of them went, I think, at least 4 rounds, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah, it was a late night. I realized like after everybody left, I was just kind of cleaning up. I was like, oh man, it's 2 o'clock in the morning,
mhm.
and that made for a rough morning this morning, Jeff, because I'm not I had quite a bit to drink, which is not usual for me. Like I don't tend to like overdo it. I just like to sip on some good stuff. But um, yeah, I had quite a bit last night, and the kiddo is always waking me up early, even on the weekends, and it doesn't matter what I was doing the night before. So luckily, I'm not prone to hangovers, but I was definitely feeling a bit groggy when I was woken up at 7 a.m. this morning. But it was worth it because we had an awesome fight card. So let's get into this co-main event, which I gotta be honest, I was like in and out on this one. I was talking and eh, you know shooting the breeze. And it looked like Valentina was just going to outpoint Lauren Murphy like by a landslide. And then that finishing combination came out of nowhere. It reminded me of The Simpsons. I think it was when Homer falls down a cliff and just hits every rock on the way down. And then they like airlift him out on a stretcher and they drop the stretcher and the stretcher falls and hits every rock on the way down. That's what that finishing combination looked like from Valentina Shevchenko, where she just sent Lauren Murphy tumbling down a mountain, hitting her face on every rock along the way, and then put her on the ground and just blasted her with nasty elbows. It was just brutal. It was vicious. It was beautiful, Jeff.
Bill, that was divine mercy if I've ever seen it. Because Lauren Murphy, Bill, did not show up. She was not in that cage, dude.
Mm-hmm.
She was a punching bag for 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dude, Shevchenko just Lauren Murphy had nothing for her.
Mm-hmm.
To put it simply.
Yeah.
There was no point in that fight where I felt like, hey, Murphy might have a shot here. And Bill, I don't know if you were listening to the commentary, but DC in particular was very disappointed with the advice that Lauren Murphy's corner was giving her, because they were saying, hey, you're doing a good job, let's turn it up this round, but they weren't giving her any technical advice to try and turn the fight around. They were just telling her she was doing a good job, like patting her ego a little bit. So DC, he basically said the corner was doing her a disservice, which I agree with 100%, dude. I did not see any area in this fight where Lauren Murphy had a chance to won over Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, she was just outmatched. And maybe the corner knew that. So maybe surviving was, hey, if we go the distance with her, that's a win. So you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Stay in there. Keep blocking those punches with your face. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree with DC. Like, that's not good cornering, but I also don't think that there's anything else they could have told her that would have helped. Like, stop being a worse fighter than her.
Just win.
I don't know what kind of technical advice would have done her any good. Start slipping punches, like stop hitting her fist with your face. I don't know. I don't know what would have helped. So, maybe they were just at a loss as well. I mean, she was just running into walls everywhere she went. So I think surviving was enough. And, she did it until the 4th round. Shevchenko just so good, man. Like, there's just nobody else on her level. Like, not even close. I don't know what you do with her. She's a victim of her own success. She's willing to go back up to 135, but as long as Amanda Nunes is there, I don't think they're going to make that fight happen. So Amanda will have to lose that title, and good luck to anybody trying to take it from her, because she's got the same problem. You have in the 3 women's weight classes, assuming that 145 is still a weight class, you have the champs, and then you have everyone else. And, that's just the reality of it. At least at, strawweight, that's your one redeeming female weight class where you have at least a little parity. You have, titles changing hands. You had Rose upsetting Weili Zhang. And you got some fun matchups. But what do you do with Valentina Shevchenko, Jeff?
Yeah, man, it's a dozen. It's half a dozen in one hand or 6 in the other with Valentina Shevchenko, because, like you said, she's starting to clean out this 125-pound division, but you can't have her fight Amanda Nunes again because she's already lost to her twice. So I don't know, dude. And the sad part is, man, I would love to see Shevchenko versus Nunes like right now because, and Bill, we've talked about this, I think, to no end on this show. In that second fight between Shevchenko and Nunes, Shevchenko turned it up in that last round. And if it had gone 2 more rounds, maybe Shevchenko wins that fight. But dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what you do with Shevchenko here.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost say like move her up to 135 for a non-title fight because, I mean, she's gonna batter anybody you put in front of her at 125. Like she's not gonna slack off. She's not gonna get like this old school champ mentality and get lazy. Like that's just not who she is. She's in shape all the time. She's training all the time. She's constantly sharpening her tools that are already the sharpest in the division by far. I would say, give her a big fight. Maybe move up to 135 to fight Miesha Tate. Get her a payday because that you can make that a headliner. Miesha Tate versus Shevchenko, and then the winner gets Nunes. They could say like, all right, we don't want to do the trilogy with Shevchenko and Nunes, but if she comes up to 135 and beats Miesha Tate, then we'll throw her in there. And you also need a reason to fast track Miesha Tate to a title shot because let's face it, the clock is ticking. So I think it's a good solution. What do you think?
Yeah, Bill, I mean, we might not have a choice in the matter. I mean, this might be the only solution. Because I don't see Shevchenko going down to 115. No. She's up there. She's like 32, I think they were saying last night.
And she's got a bigger frame. Like remember, she used to fight at 135.
Yeah.
Which Jessica Andrade did it, but she's smaller. Let's move along, Jeff, for the sake of time, because I know you're pressed for time. Shout out to my buddy Justin, who's tuning in and drinking some Bakers, and he wants to know if Lawler should just go ahead and retire. And I love that he corrected the spelling in the follow-up comment. I mean, it's not a bad thought. It was a fun fight, like for what it was, Robbie Lawler, Nick Diaz. But it was also like it was like watching 2 guys who used to play in Major League Baseball playing in a softball game. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah, I was even thinking like those soccer charity matches where they bring in like older legends and stuff. That's what it felt like, yeah.
And they're hitting the ball with their walkers.
Yeah. Oh man.
And they're kicking it off of a wheelchair. It's gonna be tough to be the goalie in a wheelchair. Yeah, it was good. It was a fun. It looked like right off the bat, Nick was just gonna get blasted. He came out with that ugly spinning kick, and it was like, oh no. And everything leading up to this, his interviews where he was saying, I don't want to do this, but then he said, I felt this way my whole career. But when he says it now, it's a little different because he's saying it and he's like struggling to put sentences together, and it seems a little bit punch drunk, and he came in out of shape, asked for the fight to be moved up to 185. It was kind of like, oh, don't let him in there. And then you didn't know what you were going to get out of Robbie Lawler because he's lost 3 in a row. Obviously this was a vendetta for him because he has the loss to Nick Diaz 17 years ago, which I remember watching that fight. It was crazy. I don't know. I had mixed emotions about this one, Jeff, because then they got into some exchanges and it wound up being, pretty competitive. Nick, had that pitter patter style. And I'm just starting to get into it. And then Nick gets dropped and basically was like, I'm done. And that was the ending. And that's how I felt about it. It was like,
Oh man, Bill, I had mixed feelings going into this one, man. I'm a Nick Diaz fan. Don't get me wrong, but Bill, it's been 6 years since he did this, man. That
Mhm.
USADA ruling, and we've talked about this a lot on the show. That USADA ruling, ruined his career. And we're seeing that now.
Mhm.
He wasn't training for those 6 years. Maybe he was teaching some jujitsu classes and,
Mhm.
maybe getting some fun rolls in, but he wasn't, getting ready for camps and stuff. Um, and Bill, um, I don't know if you saw this, but in the Twitter comments that pop up on the events now, somebody bet $7,000 on Nick Diaz. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, they're I certainly hope they still have a house after all this. But
Yeah, right.
dude, I'm sorry,
Imagine
man.
telling your wife that.
I mean, that guy doesn't have to. But but Bill, if you thought Nick Diaz was going to win this fight, I'm sorry, man. Like you could tell once they closed that cage door, um, dude, Diaz just he didn't look like he wanted to be there, like at all, man.
Yeah, he started walking into the cage with his shirt on. It was like, that's how I get into the pool. I'll just leave this on today. It's still sunny out,
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, it was. I don't know. I feel weird about it. I don't feel as bad as I felt watching Evander Holyfield get in there, but you know what? Nick Diaz is only a couple years older than me. He's not a 50 or 60 something year old retired fighter, but I kind of had some of those same feelings like watching him do this. And I don't want to see him fight again. He definitely could. Um, Nick Diaz will always be a draw because he's got such a massive following. I think he's actually more popular now than he was when he fought Anderson Silva. You know, that time away, kind of let his legend build a little bit. People started talking about him and watching the old fights, including the Robbie Lawler knockout. And then, as Nate got famous, Nick got more famous because, people started talking about like, oh, that guy tapped out Conor McGregor. Oh, yeah, his brother used to fight too, and he was awesome. And, it built and built and built. And I can't imagine the pressure he felt getting back in there, now that he's this massive star with this cult following. And he was popular as a fighter, but I think more so now. He's so popular, he could get back in there 5 more times, lose every single time, and people would be like, yeah, Nick Diaz, let's go, put him back in there. I'm not one of those people, especially seeing how the fight ended, where, I thought it was another freak leg injury because he was like grabbing his knee. But it turned out like he was just knocked out, and like he was still reacting, but he was basically on autopilot. Like it looked like he didn't know where he was. Awesome combination from Robbie there. I don't know. If you had to pick, no, I don't want to word it that way. Do you think both of these guys should retire, Jeff, or what do you think is next for either of them?
I'll be honest with you, man. They're some of the last gunslingers, dude. And yeah, I think it's time to hang it up for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Robbie Lawler getting another shot at the welterweight title. Just because Kamaru Usman has been cleaning house against everybody they've put in front of him, and unfortunately, I feel like he's too multi-dimensional for Robbie Lawler to be effective in a fight against him. And Nick Diaz, he doesn't owe anything to this sport, man. If anything, the sport owes something to him. USADA owes something to him because USADA ruined the end of his career, man. Nick Diaz was in his prime when that suspension happened.
Although I don't think that was USADA. I think that was one of the athletic commissions.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too sure on that. I mean, feel free to correct either of us if you're if you're tuning in live here, so we could have that information on hand.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark says Nick Diaz versus Cowboy Cerrone, UFC 300.
UFC 300.
That would be interesting because Cowboy has fought Nate, but I think Nick had said he doesn't want to fight anybody that his brothers fought. So maybe he wouldn't agree to that. I don't know, man. I would love to see him retire. If anything, Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 3. Do it in boxing. Do it in Triller. Let both of these guys get a payday they deserve, and then hang them up. Let these guys. They both deserve to be set for life, financially. They put in the time. They put in the work. That's what I would love to see for both of these guys. Moving on, Jeff. Curtis Blaydes and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was a fun fight for me, I thought, because it was pretty dominant by Curtis Blaydes. Like, Rozenstruik had no answer for the grappling. He had no ability to stop the takedowns for the most part. He had no idea what to do off of his back to get back to his feet. But at the same time, he cracked Curtis with that knee. And for Curtis, it was a race to finish the fight before it was stopped by Mark Smith because his eye was shut, Jeff. In between the second and third round, the corner was like prying his eye down with the cold steel and like trying to like lift his top eyelid up and get the swelling down. And he got it down just enough so he had a little sliver of eyeball looking through. It was probably like, when you get stuck in your t-shirt, like putting it on, like you just can see out just a little bit. There's no way he was able to see out of that eye because he did the fatal mistake that Chris Weidman did against Yoel Romero. Going for that single and dipping your head down, and Rozenstruik timed it perfectly with the knee. But that's what was so exciting about this fight to me, Jeff, because it was like a race against the clock.
Yeah, for sure, Bill. I agree with you 100%. And I thought Blaydes was so smart in that third round because really the third round is where the eye, it looked like he couldn't see out of it anymore. At the end of that third round, just took Rozenstruik down, held him down, was on top of him, had his head in Rozenstruik's chest and body. I thought it was a good idea so the ref couldn't see that the eye was swelled shut, man. But this fight was definitely fun. And, there was some booze, but I think that's because of how good the rest of the card was. So, Bill,
there's still some booze, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like this card was awesome, man. But dude, what a performance from Blaydes! And I thought Rozenstruik was really smart, reading those takedowns and throwing the knees in there. It worked a few times, but like you said, he just didn't have a concrete answer for those takedowns. He wasn't stopping Curtis Blaydes, and Curtis Blaydes so good at what he does, man. And that's what I love about Curtis Blaydes is he sticks to what got him to the dance, and that's that wrestling, man. But Bill, what do you see next for Curtis Blaydes? Because he called out either Ngannou or Gane. So what do you see for him here?
I don't think he's going to get that fight. He's got the 2 losses to Ngannou. Granted, they were kind of controversial. One ended with a cut, and one was like kind of an early stoppage. But he's going to put himself in the same boat as Shevchenko, where like, what else can you do with the guy? There are some interesting fights. I think Tom Aspinall would be a fun one. He's on the rise, so if you want to throw him into the deep end, and then you've got Chris Daukaus as well, who fought earlier on the card, looked great. I think that would be a good test for him. And the winner will get closer. And then if Cyril Gane is the champ by then, Curtis Blaydes will have a better shot at getting a title shot. Because John Jones might get thrown into the mix if he can stay out of jail. Stipe is still there. Stipe is still deserving. Maybe you do Blaydes and Stipe. I don't know. And what do you do with Rozenstruik? Because he's already lost to the two guys that are fighting for the title, and now he just lost to the number 3 guy. Like, he's going to fall quite a bit down the ladder. So maybe you do Rozenstruik and Abdurakhimov, or Rozenstruik and Volkov, I guess. Or did they fight already?
I don't think so. Yeah, I can't recall because Rozenstruik.
Well, let's see. No, they haven't fought. So, he's been win-loss since fighting Ngannou back in May. Then he knocked out Junior Dos Santos and then lost to Cyril Gane. But then he knocked out Augusto Sakai. I forgot about that one. I mean, I've been big on Rozenstruik since he came in the UFC. You know this, Jeff.
Yeah.
So impressed with his striking background, but like he was really exposed for his grappling in this fight. I mean, I think everybody kind of knew, but now it's like, oh, he does not know what to do down there. He had that one point in the third round where he kind of swept Blaydes, but then Blaydes just, circled around, wound up on top anyway. But yeah, big glaring holes there. But heavyweight's exciting, at least. We've got a lot of young up and coming guys. By young and up and coming, I mean like they just turned 32. Young and up.
Oh man.
Young up and coming for heavyweight. And then you got the young heavyweights. The young heavyweights in Bellator are the ones that aren't wearing diapers yet.
Yeah.
Let's move along, Jeff. Jessica Andrade just blasted Cynthia Calvillo. I thought this was going to be a more competitive fight. And Andrade, man, what can you say about her? She's got, probably the most devastating knockout power in the division, maybe in all of women's MMA. She might be the most fearsome striker there is. Like, she just puts chicks out, which you don't see very often in women's MMA. Give me your thoughts on this one, Jeff.
Yeah, man. I'll be honest with you. Like you said, I thought this would be more of a contest, but dude, Andrade just ran through Cynthia Calvillo, man. And Bill, I don't think Jessica Andrade is a technical striker by any means, but dude, pound for pound, she's got some power, man. I think that she's got like Amanda Nunes type power. And of course, I mean pound for pound here. So, obviously Andrade fighting at 125 right now. But dude, if Weili Zhang loses to Rose Namajunas again, because they're scheduled to fight at UFC 268, I am not opposed to seeing Andrade drop down to 115 to take on Rose Namajunas again. I think that'd be a pretty interesting fight. Let Namajunas try to get one back off of that freak finish from their first fight.
Yeah, and I'm sure Rose would want that one back. Does Jessica want to go back there? She's making that OnlyFans money now. Does she really want to be killing herself to get down to 115 pounds? I don't know. Only she knows. But yeah, man, the power is something to behold from such a small person with enormous legs.
Yeah.
I know I've noticed it before, but last night I was like, holy shit, her legs are huge. She's got like tree trunks, which is probably where all that punching power come from. This was a fight of night for me, Jeff. Merab Dvalishvili and Marlon Moraes. How could you want more? Like, great scrambles, great wrestling, great ground and pound, fun on the feet. There was almost a knockout, and then Merab was almost finished in that first round, and then like always, Marlon blew all his energy trying to get him out of there. There was a point where it was debatable. Keith Peterson stopped it when when Merab fell back into the cage, like, I don't think a lot of people would have been upset. Like it, but then he came back and just smashed Marlon. Like that, his ground and pound was brutal. It was the most vicious we've ever seen him. Like he looked like angry in there, and I know him and Marlon were like exchanging words at one point, and Merab just started screaming at him as he was punching him and elbowing him in the face. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Dude, this fight was absolutely bananas, Bill. Um, like you said, Merab Dvalishvili almost gets finished in the first round by Marlon Moraes. And Bill, this is one of the few times where I think Moraes was right to empty the gas tank because he dropped Dvalishvili hard. All right. And then he started chasing after him. I thought the fight was over. I was like, not like this, man. Just not like this. And then Dvalishvili, man, we've talked about his cardio, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's the stuff of legends, dude. Like he has mythical cardio, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what got him through that fight, man. And Bill, we've talked about this. You know, guys with good cardio, they're hard to finish. So you know, the 30 seconds on the stool was all he needed. And then he came out and just blew Moraes out of the water, man. Yeah, but Bill, I wouldn't have blamed the ref for stopping in that first round. You know, I think Keith Peterson had every right until like maybe the last 15 seconds. I felt like where Dvalishvili actually ended up on top, but I felt like any point before those last 15 seconds, Keith Peterson could have stopped it for Moraes. But I'm glad he didn't, man, because what a comeback, dude.
Yeah.
And Bill, we've talked about Dvalishvili here, man. You know, I can't wait to see where he stacks up in the rankings this week. And you know, we know Raheem's I'm sorry, not Raheem. Aljo Sterling has you know, he's got some business at the top of the division here. But I think Dvalishvili's starting to throw his name into this title picture, man, very, very soon.
Yeah. And you know, it's gonna get to the point where guys can't duck him anymore because they were able to, because they knew what he was capable of. They're seeing his fight, like good fucking luck fighting that guy. You know, you can't knock him out. You can't out wrestle him. You know, he's got good submission defense. You can't stop his takedowns, and he's going to be in your face. You know, Ray Longo said it went as far to say that like he's built for 5-round fights, and can't wait to see him in a 5-rounder because the guy's just such a workhorse in the gym. And so they have to force him to stop sparring. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him how he stacks up with the top of the division. I think maybe a rematch with Ricky Simone would be good because he got robbed against him the last time they fought, where the fight was stopped at the end of the fight. It was super weird. You guys probably remember that. Yeah, man. But Marlon's gonna Marlon. You know, if he doesn't knock you out in the first round, it's pretty much a loss. It's how his UFC career has gone. So I don't know what the answer is there. But yeah, great performance from Merab. I hope those guys got bonuses. I didn't see who got the bonuses. If anybody knows, feel free to fill us in on it. Dan Hooker, who like almost couldn't fight on this card, gets in there and just battered Nasrat Haqparast, you know, who comes out of a very good camp. He had GSP in his corner, actually. Yeah, this one, it was a battering, and like the only time Dan Hooker was getting hurt was when he was engaging in the clinch and trying to get those takedowns, which, you know, he eventually started hitting. I think he was just trying to send a message like, yeah, I could knock this guy out, but let me show you, I've got wrestling and grappling too. Now, would those takedowns work against, you know, some of the top guys in the division? No, but you know, at least he was mixing it up. I thought Dan Hooker looked great here.
Yeah, Bill, I agree with you. A very dominant performance, man. And you know, Nasrat Haqparast, tough dude, really tough dude. You know, I feel like Dan Hooker kind of steamrolled him a little bit and kind of took the wind out of his sails. But you know, good performance nonetheless. I think both of them actually had a hard time getting to this fight because they're coming from other countries. I think they had issues with their visas or something.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think Israel Adesanya had to pull some strings to get Dan Hooker um, into the country, or whatever they had to do. I guess they have a lot of strict regulations in New Zealand. Because I remember after Dan Hooker's last fight, he had to quarantine for a few weeks and wasn't able to be with his family. Got like depressed, even started talking about retiring, and then got back in the gym and shook it off, I guess. Jeff, for the sake of time, because I know you got to get going soon, I'm gonna breeze over the rest of this card. I know who I was most impressed with in the prelims, but give me your thoughts. Chris Dawkins, um, impressive TKO victory over Shamil Abdurakhimov. Basically finished him twice, and then just knocked all of the spit out of his mouth
Yeah.
on several occasions. But awesome finish from Chris Dawkins. Called out Stipe, which is a good move. Cop versus firefighter. There's a little storyline there. I don't think he's going to get that fight, but I think he's making the right moves. Talia Santos, unanimous decision over Roxanne Modafferi. Unfortunately for Roxanne, who we're fans of, it was just there was nothing she could do in this fight. She was just hitting dead ends left and right. Jalen Turner, very impressive, submitting Uros Medic. Proving he's got some grappling, which is a fairly new thing. It looks like he's picking it up pretty quick. Nick Maximoff, unanimous decision over Crody Brundage. Then the most impressive to me, Matthew Semlisberger with a first round 15-second knockout over Martin Sano. Man, what can you say about this kid? He's just a nasty striker, just through the straight right down the pipe. Landed it flush and put this guy out. Landed an extra blow while he was unconscious. And then Jonathan Pierce submits Omar Morales in the second round by rear naked choke. So tell me, Jeff, out of all those fights, those 6 fights I just listed for you, what was
Bill,
sticking out to you?
I'll be honest with you. I was most impressed with Jalen Turner, man. Just absolutely dominant performance, and he won with a submission with a rear naked choke. But dude, um, he picked Uros Medic apart, man. On the feet was looking great. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he even needed the rear naked choke. I think he could have just knocked him out or ground and pounded him for a TKO. But man, yeah, he slapped on that rear naked choke, and then he used his hook to turn Medic over to finish the submission. So really nice jujitsu from Jalen Turner there. So I'll give it to him for this one.
Yeah, and thanks to Mark Fellows, who informed us that performances of the night went to Dawkins and Merab, and the fight of the night was Volkanovski and Ortega. So that's fair. I'm not mad at those. I mean, you could have given out bonuses to almost anybody on this card, as far as I'm concerned. If I had the money, I would Venmo them. Venmo bonuses.
All right, Bill, what do we got next week?
All right, we got. Let me see. Let me make sure this is next week. Yeah, October 2nd. Believe that, Jeff? October already. This year's flying by. I was like waking up this morning and I was like, oh, it's fall. Let me go maybe sit outside and drink my coffee this morning. I went outside and it was just like getting into a sauna, and I was like, oh, still Florida. All right, so this one's back at the Apex. Packed crowd last night, Jeff. Looked like a packed house. I know we have some buddies who were there. Our friend Eddie Law from the Keyboard Warriors podcast was there live. Our buddy Tomer that we used to train with back at Henzo Gracie Fort Lee was there. I saw he was on Facebook, posted some photos. But next week back at the Apex. And we got the other Dawkins brother fighting in the co-main event, but the main event, Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker. And how do you not love this fight, Jeff?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be an early night for somebody in that main event, dude.
Hmm.
Both of these guys love to finish. They go in there and just brutalize their opponents, man. Bill, you got to wonder about Thiago Santos here because remember he did have that double knee repairs
Hmm.
against after his fight with John Jones here, and it looks like he's coming off of 3 losses. Bill, I
Hmm.
don't think he's going anywhere if he loses this fight, but
Mm.
just there's some causes for concern here.
Yeah, I mean, what a beast that man is. The fact that he had that double knee repair and like torn ACL and all that. The fact that he's even getting back in there and fighting after that is incredible. But yeah, you got to wonder if he's even the same anymore. But if he is, this is an awesome main event. And then this is actually an incredible card, Jeff. I'm really excited for this one because the co-main event, Kevin Holland, Kyle Dawkins. So that's a really fun one. So we saw the other Dawkins brother get a bonus last night, and now we get the welterweight brother. Is this fight going to be welterweight or middleweight? I can't tell because he's fighting Kevin Holland. It could be either. If anybody knows, let me know. And then we got. I'm just gonna run down this card, Jeff, and you tell me what's sticking out to you. We got Cowboy Oliveira and Nico Price. That was a rematch, right? Because that one ended weird or something.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think they fought each other before.
Oh man, I'm thinking of somebody else. Nico Price fought. Misha Serkinov and Krzysztof Jotko. That's an incredible fight.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be my sleeper pick because I don't see a lot of people talking about that one. That's awesome. Aspen Ladd coming back against Macy Chiasson. They have similar records, so that should be good. Alexander Hernandez and Mike Breeden, which I think Mike Breeden was on The Ultimate Fighter. I'm not sure. Joe Selecki was, and he's fighting Jared Gordon. Antonina Shevchenko. So we have 2 cases of siblings fighting back-to-back weeks. So Antonina is going to fight the undefeated Casey O'Neill. And then we got Betch Correa, who I thought retired, fighting Carol Rosa. Maybe she's retiring after this one. Devontae Smith and Jamie Malarkey. That's a really fun fight, Jeff. I might change my sleeper pick to that one, or I'll have 2. Then we got Stephanie Egger against Shauna Young, and then Alejandro Perez against Johnny Eduardo. Man, I'm excited for this card. This is my first time reading it all the way through. I knew about a handful of fights on here, but this is great, Jeff. What's jumping off the page to you?
Oh man, Bill, the main card itself looks fantastic, dude. I think we're getting spoiled with 2 really good back-to-back cards here, man.
Mm-hmm.
I really like all these fights, man. The main event looks awesome. Holland versus Kyle Dawkins is going to be good. Oliveira versus Nico Price. That's another fight that's probably going to a finish.
Mm-hmm.
Misha Cherkinov versus Krzysztof Jotko. That's going to be an awesome fight, Bill. I'm a big Jocko fan. He mixes it up so well. And
Mm-hmm.
Misha Serkinov is no easy customer, no joke. Aspen Ladd versus Macy Chiasson looks good. Alexander Hernandez, I don't think he puts on boring fights.
Mm-hmm.
Selecki versus Jared Gordon looks good to me. I mean, Bill, take your pick here. I think this is definitely going to be a good card. I just want to look up the start time because Bill, my girls' JV team has a game that day, so I want to make sure I can watch this.
Yeah, I mean it's in Vegas, so I don't see it being like an obscure time or anything. But yeah, man, this card looks so fun. Let's start to put a bow on this episode because I know you got to run. But before you do, we have to talk about John Jones getting inducted to the Hall of Fame for his fight with Alexander Gustafsson. So the fight was inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I believe he lost that one, Bill.
I know you do. I mean, he definitely lost. He definitely lost on the night overall. So within 12 hours of receiving his Hall of Fame induction, John Jones gets arrested again for domestic battery and some kind of damage to a vehicle. So my buddy Matt Temple, who was also over last night, his theory was that him and the wife had some kind of dispute. She runs off on him. They're at some casino partying. She runs off on him, gets in a cab or gets in somebody's car, and John comes and like kicks the car or something. So that would count as domestic battery, because you can make the argument he was trying to hit her, and it would also count as damaging or tampering with a car, whatever the language was. So sounds like a pretty sound theory. We'll go with it until we have more information. Hopefully, he didn't actually hit his wife. It seems like it's been a little while since we had some John Jones news like this, but it's not shocking. It's not. I mean, it's almost expected. Dana White was like, I can't even bring this guy to Vegas anymore. It's just not a good place for him. But what do you think, Jeff?
Bill, I don't think that Dana White can allow John Jones to leave the house anymore. Like, I think that's where we're at, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Bill. I mean, I was looking up the start time to next week's card. It starts. I think the main card starts at 7. And Mark Fellows is absolutely correct. Some guys just can't handle Vegas. A line made famous by the movie The Hangover, Bill.
Yeah, I love the Hangover reference. That's such a great movie, and it was one of those movies where I saw it in theaters, and immediately after I was like, that was okay. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, this scene, oh, and this scene, oh, and the and the scene with the baby sitting at breakfast.
But nothing tops that tiger scene, dude.
It's a masterful, it's a comedy masterpiece, and the way the plot ties together and everything like that. So you've never seen The Hangover, like I don't know what you're doing watching this show. Turn this off and go watch The Hangover.
Why are you peppering the steak? Tigers hate cinnamon. They love pepper. Oh man.
There's so many. They should call them flories. Every time you take them, you end up on the floor. So where was I going with this? Oh, John Jones. Man, the guy just can't stay out of his way. It seems like, all that talent came with a lot of demons, which makes him do a lot of dumb shit. And you have to wonder, like, without these demons and without being, such a loose cannon, would he have been as good at fighting? Maybe not. Maybe that's the give and take. It's like you have all these natural gifts and just like you don't have the sense that God gave geese when it comes to your personal life and even your own career, like stripping himself of the belt and then like not having a next move in line. Like, who's helping this guy out and why are they doing such a shitty job? Like, somebody needs to get a hold of him, and I don't know if it's possible, unfortunately. And I don't want this to happen. I don't think it's possible until he like really hurts somebody or really hurts himself. When I say really hurt somebody, I mean like again, because I guess hitting a pregnant woman with a car was not bad enough to make him get his shit together. And I'm a big John Jones supporter when it comes to the fighting skills, Jeff. I don't think there's anybody better in the world. And Coach Bill and I were having this conversation last night. Like, is he the greatest of all time? I think so. Bill thinks it's Fedor. Let me know what you guys think. Arguments can be made for both, and I don't think it would be a fair comparison until John Jones's career is done, which it might be. So anything else on that, Jeff?
I mean, Bill, isn't his dad a reverend? This guy needs some Jesus. Like, what the hell?
I gotta share Oh man, I gotta share this meme because somebody sent it to me. It was like John Jones says he can do things, do all things through Jesus, and then it's a picture of Jesus like with the skeptical eyes. I don't know if John Jones can do all things through Jesus, but I know that you guys can order MMA on the Rocks merchandise from our friends at Team Reaper. The website is reaper1.co, and you can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10. That's MMA ROCKS10. Save yourself 10% on your whole order, whether you are purchasing our merchandise or not. That promo code will work on anything on the website: jiu-jitsu gis, gear bags, sparring gloves. They got all your MMA needs over there, including our over-the-top Under the Influence t-shirts, hoodies, and tank tops. So make sure you go check out Team Reaper, reaper1.co. Jeff, you have anything else you want to get off your chest, my friend?
Yeah, just to all the fans out there, I'd really appreciate it if you could help out the girls' soccer team, the Ramblers. Would be awesome. Bill posted the link at the top of the show and in the show notes. So thank you to everybody in advance. The shop closes in about 12 days because we only got 2 weeks to do this, and we started on Friday. So that's all I got for you, Bill. Again, thank you to everybody in advance. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you should post the link on your social media as well, Jeff, at @animal_Wilson, Twitter and Instagram. He's going to go do that right now. And you guys know how to get a hold of me. It's at MMA on the Rocks everywhere on the internet except TikTok, because I don't know what that is. Until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.